I discovered the group chat where my family hides my fiancé's affair with my best friend, so I one-upped them by hiding my big revenge. So, a week ago Alex was taking a shower and had left his phone on our bed. I was packing my suitcase for a family trip that is happening after my rehearsal dinner tomorrow. I heard his phone keep going off. He yelled from our shower if I could mute his phone. I went to get his phone and saw that it was Peach calling him. I was curious at first, but seeing as she's part of my bridal party, I didn't find it too suspicious. I muted the phone and soon messaged Peach from my own phone. Here is the paraphrase of our conversation. Me: Hey Peach, my fiancé is in the shower RN. What did you need? Peach: Oh nothing. Lol, just wanted to confirm with him the flowers for your bouquet and I'll. Me: That's weird. I didn't change my mind on any flowers or anything. The florist was contacted last month and everything was paid for already by my father. Peach: Are you sure? I remember him telling me you changed your mind. After that it was the usual wedding talk after that point. In hindsight, I should have found it very weird that she would call him about 6 times to confirm a flower choice when she simply could have either texted me or Alex. When Alex got out the shower, I told him Peach tried calling him about my flower choices. I asked him what made him think I changed my mind on the flowers for the wedding. He paused for a bit. I now know he was basically stalling and doing the "oh I'm thinking" face when I had asked. He then said that he thought I had mentioned it in passing during a dinner. I told him that I didn't recall that. He then just shrugged and grabbed his phone and went back in the bathroom. I hate to be one of those people, but for once, my gut actually sunk. I got this really paranoid feeling and I couldn't shake it. I tried to convince myself that it was just my old cheating trauma trying to creep back. Yet, I just couldn't let this go. Me and Alex had dinner and I pushed through all the way until it was time to go to bed. I pretended to fall asleep first. Me and Alex usually cuddled to fall asleep. When I knew he was in a deep enough sleep, I went to check his phone again. I checked his Instagram, Snapchat and messages and I couldn't find anything. I then went to his Facebook Messenger. He has Messenger to communicate with his family overseas. I only saw his main family and most of the messages were about getting plane tickets to come to the wedding. We were supposed to get married in December with a Winter Wonderland themed wedding. However, with my previous relationships, I checked his archives on Messenger. That's when the horrific truth came to light. There was a group chat with Peach, Alex, Richard my brother, Mom and Maria my sister. The group chat was established a year ago where basically Alex and Peach confessed to having an affair to my family. My mom did shame them at first. Yet, she later asked Alex did he truly loved Peach. Because you can't help who you love, he said he was absolutely sure and that he also loved me too. Then Maria and Richard offered that he, being Alex, bring up to me an open relationship. They both are in open relationships and married and apparently it's working for them in whatever la-la land they live in. At this point, me and him were already engaged. Alex mentioned to them that it seemed too far deep to try to bring it up. My mom said that they would cover for Alex and Peach until he felt strong enough to bring up an open relationship to me. As I was reading, all I could think was how in the actual F could my family betray me like that. I honestly wanted to vomit. However, I was just taking screenshot after screenshot. The more I read down, I found out that Peach took my spot on our previous family trip. I got a really bad stomach bug a while ago that caused me not to go. I can't even begin to imagine what they did on the trip. And the fact my mother was okay with all of this, I think is what hurts the most. The fact she's known for a whole year that my fiancé was cheating on me. That's taking the longest to sit in, I feel. There is more in the group chat, but these were the major points. I've known for a whole week. It's been eating at me inside and I want to explode and cuss them all out. I want to ruin their lives the way they ruined me. It all hurts so effing much and I just really want advice on how to confront them. How do I even begin? What do I even say? The anger I feel is so intense that I feel like if I just let it all out, I would just look insane. I'm planning on confronting them tomorrow at our rehearsal dinner. Update: I sent the screenshots to Alex's parents and explained the whole deal to them. I was honestly expecting them to ignore it or not believe me. However, they called rather quickly. They asked for more screenshots and I just basically sent them a good chunk of the screenshots. His mother made me feel so awful for sending them. She was sobbing and apologizing for her son. She soon became inconsolable. His father took the phone and asked was it anything his son could do to make it up to me. I told him that unless his son could shrivel up and disappear then there wasn't anything really he could say. His father said that he understood. I asked him if they could keep this to themselves until I brought it up to Alex. They said they could and we ended the call. For a while, I thought vomiting from stress was a rare, but it finally happened. Alex heard me, I guess because he woke up and tried to rub my back. I held my hand up and cleaned myself up. This is around 7 a.m. in the morning. Alex had concern in his voice and was asking if I was okay. For once, I actually saw nothing but red. Yet, I kept the composure. I have no idea why, but I guess that will be my superpower Lil hold on to. I ignored him and just went back sleep. I woke back up at 8 a.m. to start getting ready for the rehearsal dinner. Alex told me he had to get some things done before heading to the restaurant. I told him that was fine and that I'd see him later. Before he left he said he loved me and this was one of the days he was excited for. I said me too, trying not to have much rage behind it. Once he left, I gathered all the screenshots. For some people that don't know, you can schedule text messages to be sent out at a certain time. I decided to do this to send it to everyone. Peach's family, our friend groups, his family as well as mine. I sent it to go out at 1:25 p.m. This would be the halfway point of the dinner and people would be dropping off gifts early for us and etc. I gathered the black hole of stress forming in me and headed to the restaurant when it was time. My mother and her husband were already there. My mother hugged me and all I could do was stand there. To feel her hands on me almost felt like she was personally violating my spirit. I did a quick tap hug so she wouldn't get suspicious and we headed inside. Guests started flowing in and everyone was surprisingly on time. Once everyone was gathered, Alex went on this whole spiel of how he was happy everyone could come and that he was excited for his family for the next dinner. He mentioned how I was the love of his life and how he was so happy our families would mingle and we could be one. I wanted to ask him how dare he say that poop, but nothing but fake smiles and nods from me. Peach was basically looking like a clueless dog and smiling right along and clapping for us. To see this happen in real life is truly mind-boggling. The lengths people will go to have their cake and eat it too. I could barely eat as the stress was getting to me so badly. At the time I set for the messages, people's phones started buzzing and Alex's and Peach's phone were blowing up. I would like to admit that for once a genuine smile crept on my face. It was like watching an entire kingdom crumble and fall. The horrified faces of Peach and Alex when they looked at me was golden. It's the one highlight I will hold on to from this emotional day. My aunt went ballistic. She started calling my mom a cruel heartless B-word over and over. My mother hurriedly checked her phone and saw I sent near the screenshots. She started screaming and becoming irate saying I was really trying to ruin her life again. My grandparents' reaction hurt the most because they started screaming at my mother. My grandmother was trying, with a few of our other guests, to hold my aunt back as she started screaming every explicative she could. My grandfather was screaming at my mother that he didn't raise a word. At this point everyone is in screaming and crying hysterics. My other bridesmaids were cussing Peach out and calling her a SLT. I hate to admit again Eel took joy in that. My grandfather went on to screaming at Alex with some things I can't say here because he was very explicit. I just started laughing and sobbing. I had so much emotions that I genuinely think my body didn't know what to do, so it did everything. The tears just kept coming. My cousin escorted me outside as fast as she could with Alex chasing us down. He kept screaming my name and begging to talk. I ignored him and my cousin was pushing him away from her car so she could get in and drive off. She took me to my aunt's house and told me to stay there and not answer the door for anyone. I kind of felt like a kid being left at home alone. I didn't and just sat on the floor. That's when I just started bawling. All the emotions I've kept pent up for a whole week just finally came up. After about another hour, my aunt and cousin came back home. They hugged me for like a good 5 minutes. When we finally broke off, I noticed my aunt had a few scratches on her. I'm assuming they couldn't hold my aunt back from my mom for much longer. My aunt caught me up on everything. Apparently after my cousin drove off with me, Alex came back in and started screaming at Peach for ruining everything. They got into a screaming match and some of our friends were trying to split them apart. My grandparents, aunt, and Tony, my mom's husband, were drilling into my mother for answers. Tony was the most livid. Apparently, during the family trip I couldn't go to, my mom told Tony that I had offered my ticket to Peach so she could enjoy a nice break for herself. Tony at this point is screaming and reading some of her messages out loud. She was begging him to stop and that she could explain. My aunt started adding on that she better start explaining because all she sees is a worthless mother and vile person. Apparently this set my mother off and she started screaming about how she hated me, about how I ruined her life and made it difficult, how she felt like she could never be happy because I was always a constant reminder of her biggest mistake ever and she regretted not aborting me when she had the chance. That set my aunt off and she basically pounced on her.